Welcome back to STL TV Live. I'm here with Chris Adkins, and today he's here to tell us about something called TextBuster. So you've always got the latest gadgets and apps for us. So what's TextBuster?
Well, TextBuster is actually a two-part component. So part of it is a small module you can put in your car. It's about the size of your palm, so it's easy to hide. And the second piece is it's an app that you would download for either an Android or a BlackBerry. And what it does is, once you have the app installed, and the installation of the module is really easy, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But basically what happens is once you have power to the module, it turns off any of the data functions that goes to a phone. So what this means is that it doesn't stop any incoming calls or outgoing calls, and it also does not stop you any kind of GPS functions. But what it does do, it stops your kids from texting, or yourself, if you do that way.
Now, I don't do that, but if
correct.
I did.
I didn't think you did, but just in case. It also stops you can't read email, or you can't surf the web.
While you're driving or whenever you implement this.
Exactly, yeah. And actually what happens is once the power goes onto the module, so you put your key in the car and you go to start it, right at that point the data functions become disabled.
Okay, so does it only work in a car? It sounds like it does. Just
yes.
For a car. So I can't like stop my kids at the dinner table from texting by, doesn't work that way. That's another problem,
I imagine
right?
you could if you ran a 12-volt DC power source to it. Yes, it would.
Okay, but in theory, it's really designed for
You're
a
always
car.
thinking outside the box, and what else you can do with this?
Yeah, I'm trying to challenge technology at every place I can, but this sounds more like a parenting issue I have. But anyway, let's go on.
You're right. It is challenging from many fronts. So anyway, the idea is. By doing this, you can actually stop kids from texting. It's also good if you have a fleet vehicle and you have a couple, plumbers or whatever. No, not to pick on plumbers, but whatever your
people that are in service vehicles or in taxi cabs, driving taxis, people that work for you that are driving.
Right, and if they have a device that you've given them, so if you have a corporate phone or something, this way it allows you to stop that from happening. Plus also you may be eligible for discounts with the insurance that way as well.
Interesting.
So the neat thing is that it's very small, so the nice thing is you can hide it. And all it requires is two wires. You need a positive and a negative, just basically power to the unit. And then once the app is installed on the phone, it actually just shuts off all the data communication. So the other thing is that, let me cut you off, but it's password protected. So if you put it on your child's phone, they can't take it back off. And if they do try to tamper it, they will send you an email saying they tried to tamper with it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I was wondering, is there any way to install this secretively?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the nice thing is, if you don't tell your child about it and you get onto their phone, you can download the app, have the two wires installed on the car, it's power to it, and that's it. The other nice thing is they came out recently with a module, a separate cable if you want to, it's optional. But with any vehicles from 1996 and up, they went with a universal data port on cars. And they have a little module that just plugs right into that. You don't have to worry about trying to have someone who really understands the wiring. Anybody, even myself, could just plug it in.
I know, because when you say wires and cars to me, I'm like, I'm lost.
I'm seeing fire and smoke and
totally.
Yeah. No, it's not like that.
So I can do this myself, or do I have to take it to a car place?
No, actually, if you buy the optional cable, you can do it yourself.
Okay, just plug it in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a piece of cake.
You shouldn't say wires. It's confusing to me and to everyone. Okay, but anyway, it sounds easy enough.
Correct.
Now. Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's a very inexpensive product, as far as the possibility of it saving any kind of, if you have a deductible for collision and whatnot. So.
Okay, this is really cool. I actually love this idea because texting and driving is an issue.
Right, and most people don't realize that in the state of Missouri, if you're under 21, you're not allowed to text and drive. Over 21 is still allowed. Now, Illinois, it's completely illegal. You cannot text and drive at all.
Well, and you can't even talk on the phone, right, unless you have hands-free.
Correct,
in Illinois?
yeah. Actually, that just came out at the beginning of this year. You can no longer have a handheld device and talk on it.
Okay, but Missouri, you still can. You can talk, you can email at the red light or while driving down the road, and it's perfectly legal, but we shouldn't be doing it.
Can we discourage that?
We can discourage it with TextBuster, right?
There you go.
That's what we're talking about. So, no, but I love this. I mean, I think it's a great tool. It's a great thing if you have a 16-year-old driver, which I will in 2 months. I've got a new driver coming up in my household. This could be her 16th birthday present, huh? But she's not supposed to know about it. So
exactly.
It's the secret present. Okay, cool. So, so basically, then it's also applicable to fleet drivers. You were saying.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, good. Well, you've always got the latest stuff for us.
I'm always out looking for not only new technology, but interesting things. So it can't just be an outdated model. It has to be something truly unique and different. And really, how does it affect us? And what can we do? How can we make our lives a little bit easier?
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming every month and telling us the latest tech tidbits. And you're going to come back next month with something that you won't tell me about because I tried to get it out of you, but it's a surprise, and we can all find out next month. So don't go anywhere. Chris is going to stay with us, okay? Sure. He's going to stay with us because we've got a men's fashion consultant, Jill Pagano. No hints. No, it's not because we love your fashion, but we know that you'll be interested and be able to contribute. So stick around. Jill is here with some great tips for men and the women who shop for them. We'll be right back. Jill Pagano is a fashion consultant and personal stylist for Hilburn, and we're very happy to have her here to give our male viewers some wardrobe tips and to tell us all about the current trends in men's fashion. And Jill, I've asked Chris Adkins, our tech tidbits guru, to stick around so we can put him in the hot seat.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And talk about men's fashion, but really just to get his input as well. So we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
To have somebody who specializes in men's fashion that's kind of unique in St. Louis.
Correct.
And Hilburn is new and unique.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes. The company is about 6 years old. They're out of Dallas, and I rep the business. And what's really beautiful about it is that men struggle with shopping and what's on trend and how things are supposed to fit. So I really can provide concierge service at their convenience, and we take their measurements, and they really get a custom shirt and perfect, beautiful fit, and then they get to design their own shirt.
So, Chris, is what Jill saying? Do you find that to be true? Is it difficult for men or for you to know what's on trend? I mean, I'm sure you hate shopping in the malls.
Sure. Yeah, and it's really to find the trends. I look at a magazine and see what people are wearing. The celebrities, what's going on with those, and well, that looks good. I think I might try to fit that. But
and I would say that Chris is maybe the exception a little bit to the rule too, in that he actually looks at magazines to find what the trends are. I bet most men don't do that.
No, they don't. And that's what I've really learned through this process is that men truly want to look better. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, where would they have learned? That and the fit and the fashion and the style. So for me, I get to only not provide, a great fit and design of the shirt, which is through Hilburn, but I also can help with the trends and the style and helping with fabrics and, really a head to toe. I really become your personal shopper.
Okay, so Chris, how does this sound like, just with the little that you know right now? Does it sound intimidating to think about somebody coming and custom styling you, or interesting?
No, actually, I think the idea is interesting, and especially the idea of fitted shirts and fitted suits, because oftentimes when you go to if you find something you like in the mall, it typically doesn't fit. Either my neck is kind of wide, you have a problem with that, or it's big in the middle, or it's tight in the middle, and the neck's too tight. So the idea of actually having fitted sounds fabulous.
Yes.
And I think women are used to going and getting things, going to the tailor and taking their clothes that they buy off the rack and getting them fitted. But I bet men, do you ever do that?
I don't want to answer about myself because I never have.
All right, let's ask about your
Yes.
friends. Do your friends ever do that, Chris?
No.
Yeah.
Very few men that I know actually take the time and have their shirts fitted.
Right.
I always want to, when I see a nice shirt, but I've never really kind of get around to it.
Right.
I pull off the rack and I run.
Right.
Yeah, so Jill, why is fit so important for men? What are they missing out on?
There's so much, and actually just a study that was done in the UK that was just published recently. It had an image of two gentlemen. One was in a made-to-measure, very perfectly fitted suit, and the other image was a off-the-rack, which means that it didn't fit as well. And the study showed within 3 seconds, people made snap judgment, and it wasn't about how well they dressed or good or bad. It was about the gentleman in the made-to-measure suit was rated as more confident, successful, flexible, and even a higher earner. in the made to measure. So fit is so important, and whether we like it or not, the way we dress is people's first impression.
And so you're portraying an image, and that's what the study showed.
Correct.
It's not so much what's he wearing, but what is he portraying.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some ways that you overcome that? Because you probably run into men who are a little bit resistant to having a slimmer fit. Is that right?
Yes, because they're used to buying off the rack. And like you said, buying off the rack, you have to sacrifice something in fit, whether you're buying small, medium, or large, or even within the 15, if you're 15 and a half and 32, you're sacrificing something, torso or sleeve length or, cuff. Or I'm sorry, neck. So the gentleman, it's kind of taken baby steps. So maybe after we take the measurements, I have them. Maybe recommend a tailored fit versus a Euro fit or a classic fit. So there's things that we can do to tweak and take them baby steps into really getting the ultimate fit for them.
Yeah, so there's lots of steps.
Yes.
But all right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about color and fabrics and how men can relate with their fashion choices in those areas as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll have much more with Jill Pagano and Chris in the hot seat after we take this quick break. I'm Sarah Bernard with STL TV Live, and I'm back with Chris Adkins and our guest fashion consultant, Jill Pagano, and we've been talking about men's fashions. Chris's maybe not so favorite subject, but what the heck, you're here. Stuck around. All right, so we've been talking about fit and how important that is for men and who in getting used to maybe a slimmer fit, that kind of thing. And we've got a picture. I'm going to see if we can bring that picture up of same man in two different shirts.
Correct.
And it's going to come up in just a second, and we're going to talk about the fit of shirts. So why don't we, here it is. Is this the one we wanted to look at?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so tell us about this.
So it's a bit of an extreme, and I almost think it's one of those pictures of pictures worth 1,000 words. But the same man, the man in the blue shirt, clearly is too big and baggy, and just does not obviously look good. The same man in the red shirt, notice the fit and the flush of the torso, how it makes the shoulders look broader, the entire physique. And if someone's looking at this picture, they wouldn't think one man is better dressed than the other. I think they would see that one man looks more professional and more successful even.
And 30 pounds lighter, I might add.
Yes, exactly. A good point, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so why are men hesitant to go that direction? I mean, is it just what people are used to? Chris, jump in here.
Yeah.
Tell us why men wear...
Tell me why,
Well, more of a convenience, to be honest with you. And it's trying to. The last thing I need to do right now is go shopping. I know I need to, and I need new clothes for work and stuff. But I don't have time to do that. Okay. So if you're going to show up at my place and say, we'll measure you and get everything figured out, that's a step in the right direction. So even if it takes
as much time, and I'm sure it doesn't, the idea of somebody coming and measuring you and fitting you and saying, hey, you look great in these colors, that's appealing.
Absolutely,
Just
yes.
like, to women, same thing.
Yes,
it's really nice to have that personal service, but also to know that you can get exactly fit to your body.
Right.
And looking good.
Right. Yeah. And one of J. Hilburn, and of course myself, mission is that every man deserves a personal stylist. And
do you like that, Chris?
We kind of match. Let's go with that.
I know.
What else can you do?
Exactly. So it really is the convenience in your home, and I do become a personal shopper, and so it's not just, yes, the fit is the most important, but helping with, believe it or not, there is a rhyme and reason to what kind of collar a man should be wearing. It's based on the shape of his face, and certain fabrics and plaids and different lengths look better.
Well, and let's talk about color and fabric for a minute. Chris is wearing a bright colored shirt. We did not tell him to do this.
Yes, I know. But we did not call on the phone earlier.
No, and you guys are wearing similar colors. It's perfect. But I would say this is not typical, right? Men don't always feel comfortable wearing bright colors. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, men are very comfortable in your blacks and grays and whites, and maybe throw in a check. but that really goes into kind of some of our spring trends this season. And that is pastels, softer colors, taking contrast of navy back to orange or navy and fuchsia. So really having fun. And then, you know, us women, we get to really, you know, colorful and have fun with our fashions. And I want men to realize they can do the same. And so having fun.
Do you like this? This sounds good so far?
We'll do the baby steps, okay?
Yes, do the baby steps. Because it is about expressing your personal style and your personality. And so you can have fun with colorful socks and having a little pocket square, which is just that extra 10%. It's that extra polish that looks so nice but still effortless.
Yeah. So what about denim jeans? Does J. Hilburn get into
Yes,
that?
yes. We have a great line of denim, AG and J brand. And really with denim for fit of men, we want to stay away from boot cut. We want to keep a straight leg or a slimmer fit is the best way to go. And then the same with trousers. The biggest mistake I see in men in trousers is that they're too baggy.
Yeah.
So we still want to keep a natural drape. We still want to keep a natural drape.
You're sitting down.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would recommend tailored or Eurofit would be the best cut.
What's Eurofit in pants? What does that mean?
Eurofit is the slimmest, most tapered fit. So really you have your classic and then your tailored and then your Euro. So your Euro is your, but it's still, it's not too tight. It's still a nice tapered. And it actually makes gentlemen look taller and leaner. So I think us women, we can appreciate that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of what you're saying really is true for women as well.
Yes, exactly.
Because some women will wear clothes that are just way too baggy and they look heavier and they don't feel as good.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Good. All right, so we have to wrap it up. Chris, thank you so much for joining us as our male representative today for all of our viewers. And Jill, thank you for all the great tips.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And you can reach Jill Pagano for consultation if you'd like at 314-494-1806 or email her at JillPagano@SBCglobal.net. So up next on STL TV Live is artist Philly Johnmeyer. So stay with us, and thank you, Jill and Chris, for being with us today.
Thank you for your time.
Welcome back to STL TV Live. I'm Sarah Bernard. If you want your chance to own a one-of-a-kind original piece of artwork, then I'm glad you're with us. We've got Philly Johnmeyer, a professional artist here in St. Louis, here to tell us about her work and the upcoming wall ball. So lots to talk about, but let's start with you, Philly.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so you're an artist, and we feature lots of artists on STL TV Live who are here in St. Louis. There's so many. It's a thriving community, of which you're a member. So tell us how you got started. And you're a young artist, and this is what you do full time.
This is what I do professionally full time, and I'm very thankful and excited about it. So no, I've been painting and drawing my whole life, but whenever I moved to St. Louis 15 years ago, I really was like, okay, I'm going to do this and go for it. And so I started out, I was so lucky to have met this woman. She was a amateur author, and she said, will you make a painting for me? And I'm like, yes, I will.
Okay,
and
so for her house,
yes.
not for her book cover. Or any...
for her office. She wanted to walk into her office and feel compelled to write.
Neat. Okay.
And I was like, and so I titled the painting Inspiration, and that was the very first painting I ever sold. But whenever I was younger, in college, I was always very inspired by Van Gogh and Monet and their use of texture. And, you know, how they could get the oil paint to look so thick on the canvas. But then I got older and I was like, I use acrylic, and because I don't have the patience for oils. I was like, how can I get that texture? And so I went to the fine people at Art Mart. I have a lot of friends who work at Art Mart, and I said, what can I do to give me that texture? And they told me about modeling paste.
Okay,
so
cool. So you mix the modeling paste with your acrylic?
Yes. And it creates these, I can do anything. And
so the paintings that we have behind us.
This one is just acrylic, so it's
Okay.
just flat, but it's still I love this jack. It portrays the texture.
It's so realistic looking. It's
Thank you. It's
amazing.
one of my very few realism paintings. But then on this one, you can actually see the modeling paste.
Yeah, and
how
I'm
it-
sure our viewers can't see this, but there's a dimension
Yeah.
with this paint and with the colors, and they're popping off the canvas.
Thank you. Yeah. Whenever I was in college, one of my, I was young, one of my jobs was working as a cake decorator.
Mm-hmm.
And I became a Wilton certified cake decorator. And that's how I learned to use all the different tools,
Right.
spatulas, but specifically how to use a piping bag. You know how they write happy birthday
Yeah.
and like all the things they put on your cake. And that's how I learned to use that. And I was a cake decorator for like, I guess, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And so, but then whenever I started selling my paintings, specifically commissioned work, all these customers were coming to me with these really unusual requests, like, sea oats at sunset at the beach. And this one man wanted me to do it 8 foot long. He had taken a photograph on a hike, and he was just so moved by this photograph that he wanted me to create a painting of his photograph. And so it was all these trees in the wilderness, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of trees.
But you did it.
And so that's the first time I had the idea to use a cake decorating bag to pipe all those branches, and he just loved it.
Oh,
In
that's
fact,
neat.
maybe I shouldn't tell you, maybe I shouldn't say this, but he says that he actually lays in his bed and stares at that
And
painting.
he feels like he's there,
Yeah.
right? So is that what you used on this for the leaves?
Yeah.
Really neat.
Thank you.
And the roots.
Yeah, and so my texture and my use of modeling paint is really what I've become known for. It's my signature. But I also really enjoy, using the watercolors and also flat acrylics as
Yeah.
well.
So when you were talking about your first piece that was commissioned and someone actually gave you money.
Yeah,
And,
I was like, oh my God.
yeah, so that felt great. I mean, to an
Yeah.
artist, to somebody who, you worked hours and hours
Yeah.
before you see that first
That
paycheck.
was, I started my company in 2008, and but since then I've done a lot of commissions, and it's become a process. And now I'll actually have customers like, well, you do this, and I'm like, well, let's talk about it, and
Yeah.
through a little give and take, we come up with something they love even better.
That's neat. So your customers challenge you as well,
Yeah.
and your work goes beyond paint to also include jewelry,
Yeah.
photography.
Yeah, I started my company. It's called Super Keen Creations. My husband said, that's a terrible name. And I'm like, that's fine. It's my company. You don't have to
right,
like it.
Exactly. It fits you.
I love him to death. But I was just like, no, this is mine. I'm doing this.
Right.
So, but I started making jewelry shortly, I guess I was 21 or 22, just because I wanted jewelry that was me, that expressed my personality. And also, I was like, I don't know, I just didn't want to go to the mall and buy the same old
Right.
everybody else had.
Right.
And so I started making, but then all my friends were like, where did you get that? And I'm like, I made it. And they're like,
All right,
can I
so
buy
here's
one?
the next paycheck, right?
Right.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to come back in a second because there's lots more to talk about with your art and wall ball. So don't go
Thank you.
anywhere. We'll be back with more from Philly Johnmeyer in just a moment. Thanks for staying with us at STL TV Live. I'm Sarah Bernard, and we're still here with artist Philly Johnmeyer. Still, because we have so much to talk about.
I kind of whizzed
We
through the
barely
first-
made a dent, and I mean, you've got young artist with a career. You look young to me. And
35.
You're younger than me. There you go. And we've been talking about the paintings, how people are commissioning you to do works of art that are in their homes and offices and have special memories for them, which must feel great.
Yeah, it is. It's really to be a part of people's lives, you know. But I also do a lot of work, and I show at local galleries. I just had actually this piece was just in a show at the Foundry Art Center, which I had never shown there before, and it's a fabulous.
St. Charles,
yes,
right? Yeah, they've been
so
here on the show
great.
many times.
And I do a lot of shows with MySlart.org, Jenny Churchill and Nick Dunn. They're the people at MySlart. I'm a volunteer. I help them with their monthly shows, and I'm really thankful to be a part of that. It's a great group.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about
So we were talking about your photography, your
Yeah.
jewelry, and you were saying that you created jewelry for yourself, and
Right.
your friends wanted some of that.
Yeah,
right?
and well, and it just became. I kept on. People were like, "I want that. I want that." I'm like, okay, well, let's see if this works. And so, I guess 8 years ago, I started making women's jewelry, and that was selling really well. I opened my Etsy shop, and then men, the husbands of these women, and boyfriends, were like, well, why don't you make men's jewelry? And I was like, I never even thought of that. And so I started making men's jewelry, and then people were saying, well, why don't you make kids' jewelry? And I was like, I should do that too.
Right.
So now I make men's, women's, children's, teen. I make jewelry for everyone, and all out of my home studio, and I sell it all on Etsy. And
Well, it sounds like you're really good at listening to these messages that are coming at
Yeah.
you, and you're very creative, and you want to try something new.
yeah,
too. Is that
and
right?
it's been going really great. This past Christmas, I do a lot of local shows, but this past Christmas was definitely my best season yet. So
Yeah.
it was really exciting.
Well, let's talk about Wall Ball, because
Okay.
that's a place where people can actually meet you in person.
Yeah,
and
I'll be there all night.
See your art. So tell us what Wall Ball is.
Wall Ball is an event. It's a charity fundraiser. It's one of the biggest social events of the entire the entire year for the art community. But it's run by SCOSAG, which is the St. Louis City Open Studio and Gallery, which is it's down in Tower Grove. But it's a program that provides art for children, because a lot of schools, unfortunately, are cutting the arts programs. And so parents can send their kids to SCOSAG for that, you know.
Yeah, and they've been here, actually. We've talked to
Yeah.
them about what their offerings for kids
Nick
in the
and Lori
summertime
were-
and
yeah.
after school. Yeah.
And so Wall Ball is at Third Degree Glass Factory, and every artist will have a little 7 foot by 7 foot square. It's basically their studio,
Okay.
and the clients, the audience, can walk around and actually watch these local artists, and some of them are very famous, work. And as the night progresses, you can watch the process and then bid on the pieces.
Oh, neat that they're creating that night.
Yes.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So are the pieces finished that evening, or sometimes finished later?
No, they're required to be finished by the end of the
Okay,
evening.
so the public can leave with a piece of art that they
Yes.
purchased that's
Yes.
been created that night.
Yes.
Neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so it's a really great way to meet, for people to meet the artist and become like a part of the creation.
Yeah. Okay, so let's. I want to talk about you as an artist and what you've learned and what you can teach other young artists who are coming up, who want to have your life, working on artists, listening to new ideas, and then just going with it. So, what's your advice for?
Well,
them?
actually, it's really funny that you asked that question, because just in the last month specifically, I've had a lot of amateur artists come up to me and go, oh my gosh, you're really doing this. How did you do this? And the number one thing I say to people is to go to myslart.org. It gives you, and you make it a free profile, and it gives you
Okay, wait, let's go back.
Okay.
MySlar.
MySlart.
MySlart.
www.myslart, so it's myslouisart.org.
Okay.
It's run by Jenny Churchill and Nick Dunn. And that website, you make a free profile.
Okay.
It will give you every call for art in the entire St. Louis metro area.
Okay.
And so I was at a show a year and a half ago that was curated and run by Craig Downs, who's an amazing artist and a friend of mine. And that's when I met Jenny Churchill, and she's like, how are you not on there? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry. And so I went on there, and that's introduced me to this entire world and all these galleries, and I've made a lot of friends.
This is a really great piece of advice. So
Yeah.
artists who are in our community, or new artists or students who
Yes.
want to sell their art,
Yes.
can go to
Absolutely.
MySlart, SLART,
Yes.
.org,
Yeah.
and sign up and register there.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
great.
fabulous.
Great. All right, we have to take a break,
Okay.
Philly,
No,
and
it's fine.
there's so much to talk about. We could be here all day, but unfortunately, our show doesn't go that long. So So thank you for coming, and please come back when you have your next showing, your next gallery opening. We'll definitely want to hear the latest from Philly Johnmeyer. If you'd like to see more of Philly's work, visit her website, phillyjohnmeyer.com. And you also can get your own original work from Philly and other artists at the Wall Ball 2014. It's February 8th at the Third Degree Glass Factory. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. It goes till 11. Get your tickets online, and we'll be back with more STL TV Live right after this.